Clapping continues. Nope, that fades out. Hi, welcome to the live stream for this December 7th, 2022, a day that will live in the opposite of infamy, fammy, of awesomeness, of excellence. The chillest stream you will see this December. Hopefully I'm getting enough data through here. Let's see. Says my widget is not giving me much. Say a comment if you can see me and it's coming through across okay. Says it's got a good connection. Says stream status is good. Well, hopefully it's good. Everything's good. Hey, Jack Ripper. How you doing? Welcome to the December stream. Again, the chill stream. The easy-going stream. So they say. Oh, Mike Vika says, I'm a film guru I respect a lot. Well, I should hope so. I just haven't had much time to even watch a lot of films recently. I watched some TV shows. I finished up Avenue 5 on HBO on episode 8 of the second series. And I said, man, well, I got one more episode to go. I don't know how they're going to wrap this season up, because they got all these threads. I want to see some conclusion how they're going to do this. And then I realized that episode 8 was the season finale. I'm like, oh, crap. Well, they left a lot of open, loose hanging threads here. A lot of loose hanging threads for the next season, I suppose. So, hey, Rick. You say it's 73 degrees here in Memphis area and humid as all get out. Well, it's not humid here. It's probably 68 here, so it's not totally cool, or not totally hot, but not totally cold. Obviously, I'm Southern California. It's not going to get that cold. Although I am going to, we have a trip planned with my buddies to go out to Idlewild, which is going to be kind of cold. So it does snow there. Says I can't see you, and it's not coming across clearly. Yeah, I'm wondering if the stream is slow. I mean, I am doing definitely a. Oh, now it says my stream status is excellent. Excellent. Although I'm not seeing, the weird thing is I'm not seeing your chats in the chat window, but I see your chats in the in my vMix thing. So what I did a live stream last Friday for a client of mine. So I had to take everything apart from my computer, take everything apart here, and do a live stream on the streets. We did a live stream of a parade, and so now I'm putting it all back together, and I'm putting it a little bit differently. So hopefully my mouse is more of a line of sight, so that hopefully it doesn't have so many issues here with the wireless signal. But the live stream went out great. I mean, they've never done a live parade before, so we had a table with two people. They were commentators, and they were kind of telling you about what they were at. We had a mayor or one of the city employees out on the street, like going around interviewing people on the parade route. We had a wireless connection, a Hollow wireless connection to that, and then we had one camera, this one right here I'm speaking to, keeping shot of both people at the parade head, and then we had two cameras on robotic cameras that just kind of watching the action. It was a lot of fun, and I bought myself the HoloLand comm system, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It's a little pricey, but it was definitely worth it. Rick, you were in the Caribbean the last 2 weeks with Johnny Depp. That's pretty sweet. I haven't been on stream for a while. I was testing out my equipment for Facebook streaming last week, and I accidentally went live for about 3 seconds on my YouTube channel because I still had the YouTube credentials all set up, and I accidentally, but it didn't have any sound, so I did delete it, and people were like, oh, you're teasing me there with your streaming. So it's cold and dark in Germany, says Mr. Vikas. Well, that's a shame. I'd love to go to Germany. Germany and England are two of my wish list places to visit. Although right now I'm just kind of in the middle of just trying to financially stay alive, I guess. I've been doing these little events. They add up as far as money is concerned, and trying to figure out a way to balance everything. This week is the last week of my first semester teaching college course. So this week, tomorrow's class, and if Sam's on the stream, he was on the last one of my class. One of my students on my class was on here last time I streamed. But we will be talking about legal stuff, which I know probably to most people sounds incredibly boring. But to me, I love legal stuff when it comes to video. And I mean, I don't particularly care about talking about like location releases, although, you got to talk about that stuff. But I do love talking about like copyright, trademark, and stuff like that. Anyhow. June Bug Film says, I enjoy your videos. You definitely know yourself about history just like me. Thank you. I think what I approach with history, I mean, I don't know the stuff. Most of those videos I didn't know until I researched them, so I had to research them. But I think doing the actual research, that's the thing. I feel like, at least if you're going to toot my own horn, it's like I went to college to get a business degree, and the thing I really learned in business was how to do research and how to like put things in a perspective. And I think a lot of people don't do that. Like one of the things I used to hate about video tutorials was when they would say, hey, this feature does this, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't know what it is, and we'll just skip that feature. It's like, well, you had time, you could have looked it up. What's the topic today? I don't really have one today other than just to hang out and chill with you guys. I said I did finish up Avenue 5 on HBO, and then I started watching The White Lotus, which I hadn't seen or heard about. And I just heard some good things about the second season, but I hadn't seen the first season, so I'm going back and watching the first season, and I'm enjoying it. It's very entertaining so far. Very interesting. A beer for John. Thank you, Rick H. I have some beers at home. I finally got around to buying some beer. My neighbor, I don't know what my neighbor must be taking pity on me or something, but he just keeps giving me bottles of liquor. And I think he's like trying to clear out his garage or something. But he gave me this bottle of huge bottle of like Kirkland Costco brand bourbon, and it's pretty good. I gotta admit, I mean, I don't know much about bourbon, but to me it's pretty good because it's like, it knocks you out. He gave me like a bottle of coffee liqueur. He's giving me like half bottles of moonshine. Moonshine's kind of fun. It's just straight alcohol, basically, with some flavoring. But, uh-oh, what happened here? John, hope everyone's well this afternoon. Despite the passing of Sesame Street legend Job McGrath, Christy Alley, and Miles Lane. I don't know. I didn't know Miles Lane. I don't know who Miles Lane is. I had to look it up. I didn't know. I knew Christy Alley passed, but I didn't know about Bob McGrath. I don't know Bob McGrath, honestly, right off the... So the latter was a Marine, a boxer, and a referee, and a 2-time courtroom judge. Ah, okay. Hoorah. That's cool. I mean, not cool that he died, but anyhow. Junebug says, well, that's one thing that business school teaches you. I went to business school and had to drop out because growing up on a farm in Kansas, people needed me. I hear that, dude. Yeah, my neighbor Junebug refers, free beer is always the best beer. He didn't give me any beer. He gave me a bunch of liquor. So I got tons of liquor. So I had to buy my own beer. I bought, I'm a fan of the Hefeweizens, although I feel like the Hefeweizens have kind of like they've lost popularity where I live for some reason. Like, used to be, I would go bowling back in like 20 years ago, and I'd see people buy these big, pitchers of kind of a opaque, not a clear beer, not like a lager, like a Budweiser, but like an opaque beer, right? And it was a cream colored beer. And I was like, well, I wasn't much of a beer drinker back then, but I was like, yeah, what is that? I don't want to try it. So I tried it, and I tried it with the orange. Like a hef with orange, to me, is like super refreshing. It's delicious. I like it. And that's when I started getting down the road of the hef. But then, like, the hef kind of morphed into, you had pyramid Hefeweizen, and then it kind of morphed into more like a pale ale. Like the what's the name of that? Blue Moon. But Blue Moon used to be more like a hef, but now it's more like a pale ale. So it's a little bit more hoppy and not as smooth. It's still a wheat beer, but it's not as smooth as it used to be. I don't know. It's just weird. So my town, there are literally 11 breweries in my city. Like San Diego is known for as like a microbrewery hub, but where I live in Temecula is sort of like the northern neighborhood of the microbreweries. We literally have 11 breweries. A friend took a bunch of, once in a while he'll do like a pub crawl kind of, where we basically go to every single brewery and get sploshed by the end. Uh, and so there is one around here that does a mango hef that is pretty good. It's not too expensive. It's like $4 for like a almost like a wine bottle sized thing. But I haven't gotten. Honestly, I don't drink that much. I really don't. But yeah. Anyhow, your neighbor knows you are one of us and has pity on you. Probably he knows that he has pity on me because he knows I take care of my mom, and I doesn't see my mom very often because she doesn't get out of the house. Junebug says, especially love your video on William Fox. Has definitely taught me something very important. When you go public, take action so you don't get vetoed out of your own company. Yeah, that's, so you bring that one up. I am doing a video, or I'm doing a lecture on Thursday for my class about copyright. So one of the things that video, I guess I can talk about now. The author of the book that I used, was upset with me for using her book. Which doesn't make any sense, because she's like, you didn't do the research for the book. Well, no, you did the research. I researched your book. You can't copyright facts. The interesting thing I learned about the whole incident, she was upset because I used her research for my video, which that's what you do, right? If people publish a book, it creates this information out there, and other people are allowed to use it. That's what history books are for. You can't say, well, I did the research, you can't use my research. Then don't publish your book. And besides the fact, her book wasn't written like a private eye detective talking, all gruff and stuff like that. But anyhow, one thing I learned that was very interesting is if you wrote a book, like a history, like I wrote about the history of William Fox or something, and let's say I made up the entire thing out of whole cloth. It is fiction, right? And maybe let's say I mark it as nonfiction, but it turns out it is completely fiction. And someone else comes by and does on a similar history, but references your book. You can't sue them for intellectual copyright infringement, because it's a series of facts, and the other person reported on a series of facts that you put out as a series of facts. So it's the idea expression divide, right? The idea of the story that you've created, someone else can report on that story. Whether it's factual or not doesn't matter. So, in a sense, you could also write a history of Harry Potter. If you wanted to write a treatise online, or put a little tablet that says, this is the true history of Harry Potter. Maybe that might be a little bit closer to something that you'd have to argue. But I think you can do it because you're commenting on somebody else's work. So it's essentially a fair use kind of a thing. Thought to be thought out. Yeah, heard crazy stuff about the new Avatar variable frame rate with 3D without glasses. I'm not here about 3D without glasses part, but the variable frame rate I've heard. I might have been. I was put in contact with somebody that was working on with the company that worked on the variable frame rate thing that they're doing with. Basically, it's not variable frame rate. It is high frame rate. And in fact, it actually is 48 frames a second. It's just what they do is, and I think we covered it in a couple videos, streams ago, is basically you can decide either to show two frames, identical frames at one after the other, and create 24 frames. But the secret sauce is show 48 frames with that in-between frame between the two 20 frames of 24. The in-between frame is closer to one side of one of the frames than the other. So it's a way to get sort of the look of 24 without having the judder of 24. It's a way to kind of minimize the judder of 24. So you still retain the 24 look, kind of. I won't go so far as say it's incredibly entirely successful, because I still feel like it doesn't retain the 24 look all the way. But then again, that's not I don't feel like that's the purpose of it. Anyhow, Like, if I ever get around to doing that, if I ever get around to watching the thing about the Avatar movie is like I feel like I gotta do the Avatar the thing where I watch it twice. I don't want to watch it twice. I feel like if I watch it once, it's gonna be good. I don't know. I just feel like I'm just tired. I'm just tired of the stuff. I just want to. I just want to see good stuff again. Like I really liked White Lotus. I want to watch movies like The White Lotus, which are kind of. If you don't know what The White Lotus is, it's a story. Well, it's not even a story. It's kind of like a saga of the. Not even a saga. Saga's making it way too like highfalutin. It's kind of it's a multifaceted, multi-character ensemble kind of a piece taking place on this island resort called the White Lotus. We have all these rich people come together, and there's like an interpersonal drama. That's the best way you can describe it. And it's not a comedy, although it is comedic. It's got comedy elements, but it's also, that's the stuff I like. I like watching that stuff. I watched William Friedkin's Sorcerer. Oh, we could talk about that. Yeah, I didn't see Sorcerer. No, I rewatched Cats. Oh Lord, I watched Cats. Yeah. So a friend of mine, who is also kind of the same boat as I am in terms of his background with Cats, in that he has seen the musical twice. He knows every song in the show by heart. He hasn't seen the Tom Hooper version of Cats, and he asked me, "Well, should I watch it?" I'm said, "All right, my friend." He's the guy that also, by the way, took us all to the breweries. He has his own microbrewery in his garage too. He's an excellent brewer. I said, throw back a few of your beers, and then get past the first couple songs. Like once you're past the St. James's Cat, what's his name? I'm blanking on James Corden plays him. Once you're past that scene, it gets way better. Like it legitimately gets better. Like that scene is pretty bad. James Corden and Rebel Wilson parts. If you can just get past that, and the first scene is just, as far as like Uncanny Valley, is the most horrendous Uncanny Valley there is. It's just awful. But once you get past that, and it becomes more of a presentation of dancing and singing and some good acting, then it's actually okay. It's pretty good if you're actually into it, if you're into Cats. But I think what happened to most reviewers, they saw the first couple of scenes and they said, I'm out, and I get it. I totally get it. So, anyhow. Oh, you guys are watching The Killing, huh? The Killers, The Killing, and I like The Killing. Oh, we're talking about the film noirs from the 30s, 40s? Yeah, that'd be fun. Appointment with Crime. Oh, that sounds good. Okay, shall we hear me rant? You want me to hear me rant? I don't understand the love for this new Indiana Jones trailer. I mean, I maybe I do. Maybe I understand it, and it looks essentially like it's going to be kind of a fun throwback. And the director, James Mangold, is a director that I really like. I saw Ford versus Ferrari. I thought Ford versus Ferrari was one of those just breakout, entertaining movies that didn't have superheroes in it. And it was like, oh, here's some good cinema. It's Ford versus Ferrari. It's a tie-end, concept, cool movie, right? And then they give him the Indiana Jones 5 here. And at first I thought it was Spielberg that directed, because it looked like the Janus cinematography, which, I'll be honest, I don't like that cinematography. It's too it's, you know what it is? It's Thomas Kincaid. You guys know who Thomas Kincaid is? Thomas Kincaid is that painter that you go to the mall and you see there's a Thomas Kincaid gallery and everything's like fluffy and billowy soft, and everything's that's to me is Steven Spielberg's cinematographer. Like that's like all his stuff just looks so overly processed. And I remember when my cheap theater used to do, like before COVID, used to do every month they would show old films. And Raiders of the Lost Ark was one month, and I went and saw it on the big screen. And there was a shot where Indiana Jones hops on a horse and starts like riding after the truck, and the camera's trucking, pardon the double usage of the word, trucking along following the horse. And the camera's like shaking and vibrating because that's camera technology in 1980, whatever it was when that movie was shot. Nowadays, that camera would be super smooth and would probably do a couple of loops, maybe go under the legs of the horse and just show off how technically brilliant. But no, like the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark just felt, like gritty and not super clean and precise and perfect. And this new Indiana Jones 5 just looks like a Thomas Kincaid painting. It's just it's dull. To me it's boring. And then they do this thing with the music where it's like, we're gonna bum 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 ba bum bum. It's like, come on. Oh, oh, and then Junberg says, I just think it's a stupid title. I mean, you can find a way to dial destiny on the phone. I seem to find the number. Yeah, Dial of Destiny. What a terrible name. The Dial of Destiny. So, hey, Nate Doler, how you doing? Nate Doler, how you doing? But I think Rick is right, and Wright was asking why it's Disney. I have dipped out of Disney. Remember, you longtime viewers have remembered that I said Disney is in trouble. Did I not say that? I think I said that. I'm on record for saying that Disney is in trouble. And everyone's like, no, Disney's going to gobble up everything. Disney is going to just eat and shit out the entire media landscape. I said, nope. The most dangerous thing about being on top, the most dangerous day for a company is when they're number one. Guess what? Disney's number one. But I think I think Disney is in serious trouble. As you can see, that whole thing with Bob Chapek being ousted with Bob Iger. The thing, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, yay, Bob Iger is back," but they don't what did Bob Iger really do? Like, Bob Iger is known for he's at Disney. He's known to be the acquisitions guy. Like, under his watch, he basically acquired a bunch of shit. That's part of my language there. That's all he did. First thing he did, I think, was buy Pixar, and then buy up Marvel and buy up Star Wars and all that stuff. He just buys stuff. He doesn't actually, I don't say he necessarily created stuff. And I think there's going to be less stuff to buy. And I feel like what's happening too is Disney, they set themselves up for a trap in that, like, there's so much content they need to produce that they don't have the time to really sift through good ideas and create good storylines and stuff like that. I dipped out of Disney myself too, and I mean, part of me is like, I wanted to go back and watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because I downloaded the audiobook Who Censored Roger Rabbit, and I kind of wanted to compare notes, but it's like, whatever. So I just don't think I think Disney is hurting, and I think, like it or not, I mean, regardless of what political strides you're on, the fact is there is a huge segment of their audience that are conservative, right-leaning people that do not trust the company anymore. And, you might say that they're wrong. I don't necessarily disagree that they're wrong, but if you're like politically against them, let's say you're the opposite side of the spectrum, you could argue, hey, you guys are wrong. Sure, they might be wrong, but that's what they're doing, and Disney's not trying to court them back. And it seems like that conservative family audience that they're losing, that's kind of like the bread and butter of Disney for the longest time. I don't know if they can survive without it. So who knows? And then I watched a couple videos about Disneyland, because I didn't talk about it, but I've talked among my friends, like, I cannot afford to go to Disney. I mean, I can afford to go to Disneyland. I don't want to spend the money to go to Disneyland. Like, back in the day, I used to be part of a community band, and the community band was able to get a deal where they would perform at Disneyland, and all the performers would get in for free. And then they could, like, get a group sales, and they could get, people to go to Disneyland for free. I couldn't imagine doing that today, because the costs are just insane. Like, I would never want to pay for all of that. Like the only reason, and this is going to sound really disgusting, the only reason a dude who doesn't have a family would go to Disneyland is to appease the girl he's dating. That's the only reason a male would go to Disneyland, is because his girlfriend wants to go. And his girlfriend probably has season tickets that her dad bought for a Christmas present, and those tickets are probably like $1,500. And they probably have like, blackout dates that are ridiculous. But then that doesn't include parking, which is like $50 now probably at Disneyland. I don't know. Last time I went, it was like $40. So it's insane. It's insane. So I started doing that. I started going down that road on YouTube, and YouTube algorithm's like, hey, you like that video complaining about Disneyland? Here's 20 more videos about why Disneyland sucks now. And they a lot of people are bitching about like Bob Iger, but not Bob Iger, but Chapek, who comes from that side of the business, right? He's the theme parks, but like he doesn't understand the reason why people went to Disneyland in the first place, and the way they kind of just the Disneyland experience has been sort of changed into an IP service. And then by IP service, I mean like, hey, you liked watching the Marvels movies, so we're going to coordinate your visit to Disneyland so that you're going to get a very Marvel heavy experience. And that's not necessarily why people go to these places in the first place. So, anyhow. Like what you can say, like I remember everyone was so afraid about Disney taking over. I was like, you guys gotta be careful. You can't be number one. When you hit number one, that's when sharks start coming out, and you start going down. So anyhow, yeah, I imagine most people saying I am done with X forever are not in fact done. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, if Disney came out with a movie, that I really, really wanted to see, I might go see it. But, like I don't know. I'm not really making money as a movie reviewer, so I'm not going to necessarily have to go see. I mean, will I go see Indiana Jones 5? I don't know. Probably not. I might, just because like I should do it so I can talk about it on stream. But, yeah, I mean, the whole, well, I'm still reeling from She-Hulk. I hated that show so bad. And yeah, did Disney Plus really lose $1 billion? Yeah, I think it did. Now, it's like, that is corporate accounting, and that maybe they're front-loading a bunch of money on it now, so it doesn't, who knows? It's not a money maker. They keep raising the prices of it, I kind of like that name, Junebug scheme. Never trust Bob Paycheck. Have you guys seen that guy? He looks like Lex Luthor. I don't know. I kind of look like Lex Luthor too. So maybe. Don't judge a man by his haircut, or lack thereof. There you go. I don't think it's so much as they don't care about quality as they don't know quality until they see it, and that's less freak. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. It's like, can you judge quality before you see it? Maybe the thing is, I feel like back in the day they did have a better sense, or at least they had better ability to say no to things. Like everything now, it's like, well, with Disney's schedules, Disney Plus, we need content. And I take a show like She-Hulk. Now, She-Hulk has a very long, troubled production history. I think it was supposed to come out like a year ago when they reshuffled it and all that stuff. But it's like, you watch the show and you think to yourself, it's maybe 2 episodes stretched over 6 or 7. Like, a lot of this stuff with streaming is like, I've got a great idea for a movie. Great. Can you turn it into a series that has 8 episodes? Okay, let me fill it up with other crap. That seems to be the way things are going with streaming, because there's such imaginary demand for streaming. Now maybe it was kind of an artificial demand that was created by COVID, because COVID, everybody's supposed to be locked down. Which, okay, I'm gonna rant right now. In California, I've heard our governor say, and I've never been a big fan of Gavin Newsom. I'm not. Let's be clear, but he did say, go out there and exercise and go for a walk. Take your dog for a walk. He said, get out there, but nobody realized that. Nobody repeated that. Everyone assumed you're supposed to sit inside. Not that I didn't sit inside myself, but you're not sitting inside. This isn't China, for God's sakes. But anyhow, so maybe the whole COVID stuff created an artificial spike in demand for streaming services, and maybe people are still kind of thinking that we need to produce the kind of insatiable content that streaming demands. I don't know. I don't feel like that's in the future as things come back to life. You know, I went to a theater in LA of all places, right? And it was the Pantages Theater. I saw Book of Mormon. And here's the thing. 10% people wearing masks. Everyone was just doing their thing. Now, the staff were all in masks. You know, staff, I understand that. I get, you know, if you need to be super safe, make your staff wear masks. I get it. I mean, I personally don't think it's necessary. I think a much better approach. I mean, it's a hard approach to do it, but much better approach is like, if you're sick, don't come to work, kind of a thing. That's more of a better policy than just put everybody in masks. But because I'd rather have that than that's the weird thing about Wednesday Addams. You hear that story about that? So Wednesday Addams, the first day she was shooting the dance sequence, I started watching the show. Honestly, I thought it was a little boring. I didn't get into it. But the first day she did the dance sequence, like she was feeling off. So they were like shooting up her with drugs. I mean, legal drugs, to keep her, but she had COVID. So they had her dancing around. They had her doing the dance sequence while she had COVID. And that she just put that out there as an interesting tidbit. So it goes to show you, like, well, our policies really that, you know, it's okay. She can have COVID and dance or I don't know, maybe the reality is that COVID's not as big an issue and we shouldn't be so concerned about it. It was a bigger issue a couple years ago. Now, don't come to work, you know, we'll shoot something else. But yeah. Yeah, Book of Mormon is hilarious. I had listened to when I find these things, I listen to the musical, so I knew the musical by heart. I knew the album by heart. I didn't know the musical. I hadn't seen it. This was my first time seeing it. I thought it was fantastic. And after that show, honestly, I felt a rekindling of my creative juices, just like ready to just take on the world and do stuff. I feel like I've lost a little bit of that since I saw it. And I saw it like last week. So I saw it on Wednesday last week. But yeah, no, it's an absolute brilliant show. It's so good. Yeah. Anyhow. All right, let's see what else is said here. They are filmed in Romania. Oh, cool. 10 minutes away from my place. Oh, okay. I see. For Wednesday. So Romania has no restrictions. Oh, there you go. That's the reason why. But yeah, I just didn't get into Wednesday Addams. It didn't have. I think there's a little bit of people talking about the Mary Sue element of Wednesday Addams. She's a little bit too good at everything. I kind of felt that a little bit. I don't know. Sometimes you see stuff before you watch it and it colors the way you see it. But I kind of do feel like I would have felt that way. Because, I mean, she does have some, like, issues she needs to get through. I just felt like, everything's perfect for her. I don't know. I just didn't get into it. It didn't have the humor I kind of was used to. Anyhow. I got some information for everybody. Did anybody know that RKO Pictures is still around and they're worth $5 million and the head guy is 98 years old? And I did not know that. I wonder, $5 million is not that much. I bet you Kardashian could buy that thing. Ah, there we go. I really wanted to do a video, So I told you earlier on the stream about my story with the William Fox ordeal, and that kind of soured me on making those kind of videos. Because that William Fox was a humongous like endeavor. It was like a lot of work put into that, and that was actually middle of COVID, so it was like I really wanted to put that out there, and then to have it kind of like come back at me like that with that author really kind of irritated me. So it kind of made me angry. But I did finish the 20th Century Fox. That didn't do that great. But to me, those are really important, big lessons and to talk about it and think about. But the next one I wanted to do, and no one ever suggests this. They always want me to do like Warner Brothers or MGM or Universal. But the one I wanted to do was United Artists. Like United Artists is a really interesting story. If you haven't looked it up, United Artists kind of is the knife's edge between the 1940s golden era of Hollywood, like manufacturing, the big studios and the big five kind of corporate, not corporate, but old-fashioned tycoon Hollywood, and then the 1960s, 70s corporate Hollywood. And United Artists sort of is that pivot point, at least to me. That's the way I kind of view it. And there's a story about how these two guys went to Mary Pickford, who was one of the original founders of United Artists, and they asked her, like, hey, let us control this thing. We've got this idea for a plan. Give us control for like 5 years. If it doesn't make money, I forget the deal. If it doesn't make money, we'll give it back to you. But if it makes money, then give us like a percentage share, something like that. We'll run the company. So basically what they did with United Artists was they went heavy on financing independent artists, because there's always United Artists is always the artistic director, the director's company. So they would finance projects and not necessarily own a studio, and they would finance and then figure out how to distribute them. So it was not so much like a brick and mortar, old-fashioned studio, Hollywood studio, right? It became more of like a purchasing agent, distribution kind of a thing, which is what Hollywood is now. I mean, there's a couple Hollywood studios still in existence, but they're all very, they're mostly just a deal making machine, not necessarily an actual, ownership of brick and mortar stuff. Anyhow, that's the one I wanted to talk to about next. But unfortunately, when I think of RKO these days, I think of that scene from Rocky Horror. I love that movie. I haven't seen that in a while. I was on a bent watching a lot of musicals. And I was going through that's why I did the Cats Adventures. Like, I forgot about Cats. So let's see if that's still out there. So yeah, Rocky Horror, I got to pull that one out again. I love the Rocky Horror. I think Rocky Horror is probably one of of all the movie musicals, it is my favorite movie musical. Because I feel like that encompasses the thing about movie. But speaking of which, I never finished my thought about Cats. Because I know you're all dying to hear. What are my thoughts about Cats? Well, I was watching this. Now, you got to get past the St. James Street cat. Because James Corden, it's enough of that. But once you get past that, it becomes like a showcase in some really good dancing. Like, there's some good, decent dancing. And the girl that plays Victoria, her name is Francesca Hayward. And I was watching The Nutcracker because I knew she is like the lead, one of the leads in the Royal Ballet. And I was watching The Nutcracker and just watching just how effortlessly graceful that woman is. It's amazing. She is so crazy, so cool. And she's still, with the Royal Ballet. But once you get past that early stuff, like they start kind of relaxing into like showing more of the actors behaving more in the proper dance. It's like there's so little. Let's put it this way: there's so little ballet in mainstream movies that like the only instance you're going to see like a ballet influenced production isn't freaking Cats. That's the only one. So, anyhow, so Jellicle. Yep, Jellicle Cats are queen of the night. Hey John, can you say some stuff about lens breathing? Lens breathing is more of a common in photo lenses, because in photo lenses they're designed to be just seeing a comment. Joins Corden cat yelling at his waiter. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, get past that. It gets good. All right, lens breathing is more a photo thing, because in photos obviously you don't worry about motion, so lens breathing is not, who cares, right? It just happens. In more lenses that are designed for video or for film, cinema lenses, although that term gets abused a lot, I think, because a lot of companies like Rokinon, and I'm not blaming Rokinon, but Rokinon will slap a cinema lens label on a photo lens just by declicking the aperture. But like if you go a little higher end cinema lenses, they don't they don't lens breathe. It's just a matter. The reason what lens breathing is because in order to focus on something closer, you're essentially changing the focal length of the lens in order to focus on something closer. Like if you watch my lens video, or I take a lens and like a light source, and then you move the lens in order to focus closer up. Well, by doing that, you're moving the lens closer. Well, you're changing the magnification. So that's what lens breathing is. So anyhow, that's what lens breathing is. Here we go. I love this question. Vinyl Buff says, what do you think about the Canon C200? That's what I'm shooting with right now. You're looking at me through a Canon. I love the Canon C200. There's a new Canon C200 version 2. And it's got the same, I think it's got the same sensor as the C70. I own the C200 and I own the C70. Let me tell you, the C70, I feel like with the C70, I'm done. There's no reason to upgrade from the C70 until Canon says, hey, you need a new camera. No, but like the C70, like it is far beyond everything I need in terms of picture quality. Like it's absolutely gorgeous. Are there some ergonomic things with the C70 I don't like? Sure. But for the cost of the C70, it is absolutely freaking amazing. Now here the C200 version 2 is going to have basically the C200 or C70's sensor put into it. So that's good, but am I going to shell out the money for it? No. But I love the C200. Still very, very, very capable camera. Focus racking is so overrated. It's one of the least types of shots used in films. Not necessarily. Hey, Ethan Droid, sass. I don't know if you can put a link in it. He made a YouTube poop of me talking about stuff. There you go. John, Stable Diffusion Image AI is getting good. How long before AI makes a movie? I don't know. Like I tried that. You know how all the girls nowadays are putting the AI profile thing? Because it only works for girls. Because guys don't take selfies. Like I was like, you need to upload 10 selfies. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's the thing where the AI takes your selfies and it makes like portraits of you in different styles. And I know some girls on my Facebook and social media and stuff like that are very pretty girls, gorgeous girls, and they upload like 100 selfies of themselves, and those results are fantastic. First of all, trying to find 10 selfies of me myself, it's hard to do. Like I find them, but the thing with my selfies is they tend to be pretty similar because I don't really take selfies all that much. I mean, I just don't feel compelled to most of the time to take my own selfies. So I ended up doing, paid my $8 or whatever the hell it was. And I got it back. I'm like, this looks like shit. So I just like, nope. I just got done with it all. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, Juneberg adds in, United Artists is a very unique backstory. It's kind of sad that they don't exist anymore, thanks to Michael Crimino. I don't know the whole story of it. Yeah, that's why I wanted to look it up. But one day also picked up by MGM, and then MGM got folded. MGM is also an interesting one too. Did you know that Krikorian? I think I forget his name for his first name, but Krikorian basically bought and sold MGM 3 times, and each time made money on the deal. Like that's freaking amazing. There's a lot of lens breathing in movies. Star Wars, James Bond, Indiana Jones. Deakins hates it. I haven't noticed it. Maybe. Maybe you're confusing that with like what Rick H. saying, rack focusing with anamorphic lens is beautiful. Maybe it's a rack focus with that's not necessarily lens breathing. But do you think that Super GAO? Yes, I do. Oh, wait. There you go. Do you think that superhero movies will lose I think superhero movies have lost popularity. I think they're totally lost. I think the general consensus on the Marvel Phase 4 here has just been absolutely dreadful. I mean, the truth is they've really lost a lot. Like I think Marvel especially. I don't have a lot of. I mean, look, we're not talking about Black Panther 2 now, are we? I mean, no one is talking about it anymore. It was already like, it was already kind of fading. I know I had one student who's took class off to go see Black Panther. He might be in the chat. We'll see if he is. Uh, but other than that, I haven't heard anybody like getting crazy about Black Panther 2. I mean, the only thing coming up now is maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Will we kind of like be a little bit of a bump in the road? I mean, I heard good things about the Christmas special, but again, it's like I'm not overwhelmed to see it. So. What's worse is what a girl wants you to take a selfie with her and you're like, great. I love it. If a girl wants to take a selfie with me, I'm totally down with that. I am totally happy to take a selfie with a girl any day of the week. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have no problem whatsoever. Ladies, and I bet you there's not a single lady here. Yeah. There are DPOPs that hate it, sure. I prefer not to have lens breathing, but I think there's going to be a little bit that happens, the feel of the shot that changes. But again, everything that Disney did since 2020 pandemics aside has flopped or underperformed. I'm trying to think what hasn't. Like, they talk about Marvel, all the, like, Spider-Man did well. That was pretty much it. But Spider-Man might be, like, somewhat of a Sony and half Sony thing. Depends on how pretty the girl is. I have a pretty low bar in that respects. All right. Anybody see Violent Night? I have not. I heard about it. Jason says, I saw The Outfit. I like it a lot. The Outfit. What is that? I'm going to look it up. The Outfit. Old-fashioned crime thriller. Takes place on location. A dialogue-driven story. And believe it or not, it's not part of a franchise. That's what it says on IMDb. That's the tagline. Let's click on IMDb and see what it says. Let's see. I kind of want to see that movie called, I think it's called The Menu. Is that the one I'm thinking of? It sounded intriguing. My internet's slow because I'm streaming, even though I probably have really fast up and down. But maybe my little card, I'm using a wireless card thingy, and maybe it's kind of slow. Let's see here. Go back. It says I'm live. Where am I? Excellent condition. This is excellent connection. All right. The Mark Rylance. The Outfit. An expert cutter must outwit a dangerous group of mobsters in order to survive a fateful night. Cool. Sounds good. We'll check that out. Let's see. I miss when every movie, no matter how small, had 3 incredible scores. So many smaller movies have no score whatsoever. Yeah, Vinyl Buff. Yeah, well, it feels like scores are becoming less and less prominent. Well, I don't know. I take that back. Something like The White Lotus has a very unique score, very interesting score to it. Nadolar says, the art of self-portrait is a long one in the history of art and also photography. The selfie is just a manifestation, I suppose. Yeah, I think the selfie, though, isn't necessarily art. It is very much a, I don't want to put it in a negative term. It's sort of, it's a little bit of a narcissistic activity. Look, I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, because I'm thinking of this one girl I know. Very pretty. All right, obviously, and she knows she's very pretty. She was talking to me I was doing this one show, and she came up to me and talked to me, and literally another girl who's like an usher came up to her and said, you're so pretty. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And I'm like, God damn. How do you live in this world where people just randomly come to you and saying you're pretty? You're so so she obviously takes a lot of selfies, and her AI thing did a good job with her selfies, I must admit. Obviously, it's self-selection bias because she wouldn't have picked the ones that she didn't like. But you hear stories about how she'll sit in the car and like do 100 selfies, take a bunch of pictures and then post the ones that she thinks are the cutest, because that's what they do. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, oh, she's a horrible person. No, she's not. She's a lovely person. It's just a hobby that she likes to do, and I get that. When I make my videos, you think I post the most ugly shots of myself, or do I try to make myself look relatively? I don't know about that. Maybe I'm getting lax on that part, that particular angle of things. But you want to present yourself in a beautiful way. You want to elevate your existence. You want to show off. That's not bad necessarily. It's only bad if you get like super. If it ruins your life, it makes you feel worse. If you feel like a slave to your social media, yeah, I can suppose that's bad. Anyhow. The menu is fun. I wasn't too thrilled about it. Just kind of another version of The Most Dangerous Game with a weird twist. Okay. I thought the menu was good. I think there's a new wave of Eat the Rich films coming out in the year, just like a Triangle of Sadness. Yeah. Well, Eat the Rich is always going to be the thing. But I think the interesting thing is going to be how the target of the rich might switch from like, capitalists to more the fake celebrity kind of rich, which I'm not necessarily wrong. Get it wrong. Find that necessarily wrong to make that switch to be more like just the rich people that are just so like unaware of the reality. I'm not getting political, but I just find it funny. The menu, there's a character that's clearly inspired by Matt Walsh, and nobody's talking. I think Matt Walsh did a video about it. It was like, oh yeah, that is Matt Walsh. And yeah, I've taken like one good picture of my life of me in my entire life. I can't imagine being attractive. Oh, I don't know. So okay. I'll tell you the story. I'm going to share my story with you guys. So I had a band teacher, and I could have swore one day I was in a community band. I could have swore one day he was like muttering under his breath, like, "God, he is so ugly." I was like, "Oh crap!" I think he was talking about me. He was like, "Oh man, he's so ugly. How does someone look that ugly?" I don't know. I'm not sure if that was a fake memory of mine or if I'm just being cruel on myself. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I said, I put my picture into that AI software for the profiles, and I'll be honest, I didn't really like any of my photos. I thought I was like, ugh, he's ugly. Guy's so ugly, dude. That's why That's why I have to overcompensate with like really hard-hitting histories of frame rates and shit like that because I'm so ugly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how ugly You never know how ugly you really are. No one knows how ugly you really are. Not on the inside, at least. And no, the character looks like Matt Walsh, and he kind of acts like Walsh, does his mannerisms and all that stuff. There's also a character in She-Hulk, and I felt it that looked like Steven Crowder. Like there was a character in the back, and when all the guys are like, oh, they're at the very final thing where they're all supposed to be the incels and all the bad male stereotypes. I think one guy they picked because he kind of looked like Steven Crowder with a full beard. So I think there is a lot of this undersly stuff, but no one's mentioned that one because he doesn't really have much of he doesn't actually say any lines or anything. Daniel, D'Animal for life. Danny Mole for life. Remember, people, you're not ugly. You're just poor. Very true. Very true. You're just poor. Poor enough. I have a 1940s 16 millimeter magazine loading film camera. It depends on if it's rare or not. I have the old 8 millimeter cameras that they were from 1940s. The kind of camera that actually took to D-Day, and they shot it's a small camera. It looks like a brick. It's built like a brick. I mean, you could probably fire a gun at it, and probably if you don't have a direct hit, it'll probably survive. But I got that for like $60. It wasn't that expensive. So there's a lot of old cameras from the 40s that still exist, and they're not terribly expensive. But if you have like a Panavision from 1940, I'm sure that belongs in a museum. So, D, the animal for life. That's how you pronounce it. D, the animal for life. All right, very good. What do you think will win for Best Picture? 100% think it's The Fabelmans going to win. I can't bring myself to see that movie because I think I'm so racked with envy. If I were to watch it, I'd be so freaking jealous of Steven Spielberg. I know what I want to win, but I ain't going to win. And that's going to be everywhere. Everything, everywhere, all at once. I think that should just be win. That should just win. It's like, sorry, Spielberg, you got enough Oscars. Give it to the freaking weird movie with the girl, with the Asians fighting with dildos. That's way better than your self-congratulatory Fabelmans. Like, I'm so awesome, I got to make movies. And you don't. Anyhow. It's very interesting because narcissism is also tied with self-portrait, so a selfie could potentially be a work of art. I mean, it's all works of art, right? I'm not saying it's not a work of art. It's just saying, it's narcissism, yeah. But I think they enjoy it. I would enjoy it if I looked at, look, if I were to sit down and let's say my task was to take a selfie. I've done it. I've shot like 8 pictures of myself in different poses, and then you pick the one that works. It's the same thing if I was hired to do, and I've shot like portraits and stuff like that. You don't shoot one picture. You shoot like 30, 40, 50 pictures of a single pose. Do very slight variations on stuff, and you pick the one that you want. It doesn't matter whether it's a selfie or, but it's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely fun. The Cine Kodak Model K 16 millimeter magazine. Let's look it up. Let's look it up, shall we? 16 millimeter Model K. I think I've heard of that one. I don't know my film cameras that well. I'm not going to pretend I'm suddenly an expert on these film. Looking at it, I don't think it looks like a fairly common camera. Actually, if you go on eBay, you can actually pick them up. Here's eBay. A lot of cameras are going for about $30-$40. Well, there's a let's see, the older hand cranked, like the Model A, is going for $188. Let's see if there's the Model E is going for $50. The Model K looks like it's going for about $50. Here's another one. It's a Model K. That's going for $195. So depends on the condition. There's another one that's going for $30. So somewhere, I guess it all depends on the condition of the camera. If it works, if it's clean, the lenses are nice and clear, the mechanism is functional. So anywhere between $30 and $150, but it's not going to be like, you're not going to live the rest of your life in luxury based on that sale. Anyhow. Did I put that on the screen? Yeah, I did. All right. Crowder with a beard is just Hassan Pie. Well, Crowder does have a beard. Doesn't he? Yeah, he has a beard. I don't know, Meet the Fabelmans is good, but the problem is it's very, very sugar-coated of what happened to Spielberg. Yeah. I mean, just the trailer makes me not want to see it. I mean, I'll be honest. There's part of me right now, the way my life is going, I can't. I really want to make some films, but I've got so many responsibilities at this point right now. I can't do a whole lot right now. Oh my God, Clay-Doh Designs, are you up here? Clay-Doh, how you doing, man? Hope you're. Is it snowing out there? I hope. Yeah, that'll be fun. Good to see you on here, man. I'm a handsome man. I don't know about that. I don't think that's true. I did not do well on the on the dating apps. That's for damn sure. I get a lot of bots though. The weirdest thing. So I get like matched with people on dating sites, and I always get this for some reason. It's like, well, what do you do? I work for an import export company. It's usually a Chinese looking girl, right? So all these Chinese girls work for import export companies. Oh, what do you do for fun? Well, I like reading about crypto. That's wonderful. It's not the first girl that said that. It's like I'm talking to a scammer. Oh well. Well, Cinerama camera would be awesome to have. I mean that would be a very, very rare find if you were to find that. The Cinerama with the three cameras. What happened to Spielberg? I'm not quite sure. I mean, I just know that from the trailer it's like the father takes him to see The Greatest Show on Earth, which is Spielberg's real story. Then the kid starts playing with his dad's 8mm camera and bashes two trains together and films it. That's what happened to Spielberg. And Spielberg starts shooting movies in his backyard or he's lived in Arizona. He was raised in Arizona at the time, so he started shooting westerns in Arizona. Which is what happened to Spielberg. Came out to Hollywood. I don't know the rest of the story. I don't know what else is going on. But I think there's a divorce in his parents because I know his mother and his father didn't his father was like, either his father or his mother was artistic and the other one was like, wasn't. And I don't know. There's a whole drama regarding that, but it's like, you make me jealous. I want to make movies. I want to make stuff, but I got too much other stuff I got to do in order to make money. But, hopefully we make the rest. Yeah. Then he made Jaws and the rest is history. Like you wonder too, there's no way that Spielberg knew what was going to happen to him would have happened to him, right? Like in a way, had that mechanical shark actually worked, like his whole career would have been different, right? He would have just been another director that was working as they call him a journeyman. He would have been another journeyman director in Hollywood that goes around making TV shows. Because if you watch like some of his pre-Jaws stuff, I mean, Duel was pretty good. I mean, I never watched Duel, but I mean, it's got elements, it's flash of something special with his directing style. But he's directed like TV shows and dramas, and they're not particularly like, oh wow, that's amazing, right? But Jaws like literally just said it didn't work, and he was forced to come up with a solution. And it was a brilliant solution, and it just made gobsmack some money. And he was able to kind of like piggy that back into making something else, and then making something else, and making something else, and it just kind of grows and grows and grows and grows. Like literally, none of that would have happened if if Jaws would have just been another silly summer movie about a shark. And that's almost kind of a blind luck kind of a thing. But now we think of Spielberg as this impossible genius. I don't know. I think I'm not alone in thinking. As a child myself, I idolized Spielberg. I think a lot of filmmakers of my generation, who are in their 40s, we grew up idolizing Spielberg. Like he could do no wrong. Because we grew up on Jurassic Park. We grew up watching all the Indiana Jones films, obviously. But Jurassic Park, what else did he do back in the late 90s or late 80s and early 90s? But he was our action hero. He was obviously there's E.T., what's the other one? The other alien movie. Anyhow, we all grew up idolizing Spielberg. But I think a lot of us have kind of also become disillusioned with Spielberg because I feel like he's lost a lot, or he's gone in a direction that's sort of just kind of okay. So, anyhow, my phone's going off. Why is my phone going off? Oh, suspected spam. I'm not picking that up. Oh, Donnie, we'll see you later, man. Later, taters. Hopefully I didn't catch you. Oh. Anyhow, and Close Encounters, thank you. Thank you. Let's not forget that even Cameron did Piranha Part 2, The Spawning, before he was famous. I gotta do this. I saw one of my guys I watch do the Twitch streams. You know, on Twitch you can do a movie watch along. So we could pick a movie that's available on Amazon, and if you have an Amazon account, you can watch along with me. So I'd be streaming. I'd be watching the movie myself, but I would stream while watching the movie. So Twitch would handle the stream part of it, and then the movies would sync up at the same point, so we could watch the movie together. I think that might be kind of fun to do, but I just haven't set it up yet. Maybe one of these days we'll do it. Maybe over the holiday weekend we can do like a holiday stream. That'd be kind of fun. Anyhow, speaking of Spielberg, can you imagine being a film student at LA, California State? You work hard all year, turn your student film, and one of your classmates turns in Schindler's List. Is that what he did? Yeah. Oh my God, that's just cruel. That's did he? I mean, I know he. Yeah, I didn't know. I realized he finally got his degree. I know he kind of like dropped out of school. Yeah. Junebug Bug says, "Look at me. I want to be a studio head and bring showmanship back to the movies and bring back the magic of the movies." Yeah. Maybe A24 is the closest there is. Well, A24 is kind of closer to like United Artists in a sense. But anyhow, yeah, bring back showmanship. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, not to stir the pot, but what if like a character, not necessarily Elon Musk, but let somebody like Elon Musk bought a movie theater or bought a movie studio, and just started, you know, just getting people pissed off online, stirring the pot and drumming up stuff. Oh, Schindler's List was his thesis. I mean, that's just. Could you imagine I think it's more harder on the professor that has to grade Schindler's List. Like, oh, okay, Spielberg S. Okay, so your film is called Schindler's List. I'm not loving the name. Have you thought about, you know, something different? And why black and white? What are you trying to say? I don't know. Yeah, Danny says at that point the degree was honorary there. I don't think he actually had to take the class. Yeah, could you imagine that? Well, imagine being the guy. Look, here's the thing, too. Like, Spielberg doesn't necessarily know, you know, he doesn't necessarily know everything about filmmaking. Like, he doesn't know, like, all the elements of the camera. He may know a lot of them. By this point, he may he may be a very, very high-end expert. But to pretend like, you know, Spielberg can be, you can teach something to Spielberg. Sure, absolutely. I feel like I could about YouTube. But I'm not saying that, you know, I'm just saying that his expertise, however, is in like if I wouldn't try to teach directing to Spielberg, but I might be able to teach like TikTok videos. I don't know, something he doesn't know. Anyhow, yeah, we need another Robert Evans. Yeah, there you go. Dan Roy says A24 stands for Apple 24 FPS. It's a trash prestige cinema imprint. Is it really Apple 24? I like the fact that it's Apple, or it's 24 frames per second. Let's see. What does A24 stand for? Let's double check. Let's fact check you. Actually, the name A24 was inspired by Italian A24 motorway Katz was driving when he decided to found the company. Coincidentally, the motorway was also renowned in Italian film history as the setting for many small Abruzzen towns and rural landscapes employed by the films of neorealist and surrealist masters. Wow, that is a great cocktail moment here. So A24 was, this according to Wikipedia, which we all know is 100% factual. There is absolutely no political ideology slant in any which way of Wikipedia. Get that out of your heads right away, right now. It is perfectly factual. Never doubt Wikipedia. But here's what they say. A24 was founded on August 20th, 2012 by film veterans Daniel Katz. Oh, Daniel Katz, we all know him, right? David Frenkel, John Hodges. Katz formerly led film finance group at Guggenheim Partners. Well, maybe it's a different John Katz. Different Daniel Katz, I'm thinking of somebody else. Fenkel was the president, co-founder, partner of Oscilloscope, and Hodge served as head of production and development at Big Beach. The name A24 was inspired by Italian A24 motorway Katz was driving on when he decided to found the company, which I read before. So there you go. That's the story with where A24 got its name, from a freeway. It's like me driving on the 91 freeway and calling my company CA291. Because that's all you do is just get there and sit on your road. I'm on the 91 freeway. It's Thursday at 2 o'clock. What have I done with my life? I'm never going to get out of this until probably Friday at the earliest. It's the 91 freeway. What am I going to do? Does Spielberg have Final Cut? I mean, depends. If he's directing, probably. Spielberg is a good producer. That's true. It's one of the things where I think Spielberg, but then, you got to think like movies like Poltergeist, right? How much is Poltergeist, Toby, whatever his name is? How much is Poltergeist, Spielberg, and how much is Poltergeist, the guy that made Texas Chainsaw Murder or Massacre? I'm looking at the name Toby something, another. You guys would probably get it before I do. Toby Hooper. I was right. Toby Hooper. Yeah. How much is Spielberg? Oh, did my camera die? No, never mind. How much is Spielberg and how much is Toby Hooper? I don't know. I love this comment. Yeah. Do you think Avatar 2 is one of the movies of all time? I definitely think Avatar 2 is one of the movies. And it might be one of the movies of all time. Of all time considered, Avatar 2 is definitely a movie. I don't think Avatar 2 will be the highest grossing movie of all time. I think it will be a highest grossing movie, one of the highest grossing movies of this year. Perhaps the highest. I think the competition being basically Top Gun, right? Yeah, it could. It depends on how good word of mouth is. If word of mouth is like, oh man, you gotta see it, then it'll probably take over. But if the word of mouth is like, it's good, then I don't think it will. Neon Mammal says, hot take, Avatar 2 is going to flop. Well, you heard what Cameron said. The Avatar 2 needs to make like $1 billion in order to like even think about breaking even. Or something like that, right? Like it's like super, super high. Super high amount of money. So, I mean, it's almost built into like really, really built in, almost failure is almost built in. Yeah, he said apparently Jack, going back to Poltergeist, Hooper barely showed up to work. And then if you watch Poltergeist, there's so many elements that feel Spielbergian. Like the children feels like Spielberg. You know, the acting feels like Spielberg. It doesn't feel like Toby Hooper is directing it. There's so many fingerprints of Spielberg. Like you wonder, is Hooper really responsible for this movie? I don't think he is. You know, I don't know. But my former partner did do some work with Toby Hooper at one point, so he knows a little more about it. But anyhow. Junberg says, to be fair, I'm just going to laugh if Avatar becomes the biggest flop of all time because that would be kind of funny. The first wants the biggest movie of all time. The second wants the biggest flop. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that would be kind of a bookends. I don't think it will flop because I think there's going to be enough curiosity in it. The thing I also feel like, the reason why Avatar 1 made so much money, I think, I mean, obviously I'm not alone in this thinking, but it's like, it was a technological feature, marvel. It was like the thing that it was like, hey, we've arrived. CGI is now capable of producing something that is photogenically realistic looking, that it crosses the line. People wanted to see that. Now, I don't think it matters so much. Anyhow. No, that distinction belongs to Rings of Power. Rings of, well, you know, at least Rings of, they never put that in theater, so they can just hide the fact that that no one saw it or watched it. Yeah, Avatar only did well because it was the first decent 3D implementation. First and maybe one of the last. Like, it didn't really usher in much. Yeah. But, you know, who knows? I don't know. Like I said, it was entertaining. Rick says, yeah, don't get it wrong. It made money because it was entertaining. Yeah, sure. I agree. Avatar was an entertaining movie. I just don't know if the draw for the new one is going to be enough to just get them going. Is Avatar 2 a film or a theme park ride? That's a good question. Was one of the Reddit threads is like, this is cinema, and it was like Martin Scorsese's granddaughter like doing a TikTok with Martin Scorsese, and he's like, I've got a fly in my hand. You see the fly? Okay, I'm gonna put it in your hand, right? And I swear to God, I thought the joke was gonna be like, you see my buddy here? Say hi. Wave hi to him. Okay, now shake his hand. You're supposed to shake his hand and say, dude, he's this tall. That was a joke. I thought that was where that little joke was going to go, but it didn't. And I'm just rambling because I don't know what I'm saying. You guys have no idea what I'm referencing. I'm sure you don't. No one's ever saw that TikTok in their life. I just made it up. Arsene Moon says, minute of silence to all adult movie actors next 3 months who are going to put blue paint on themselves. Oh, God. Are you talking about the parody? Yeah. I want to do a video about the difference between parody and satire and why parody is protected free speech and satire isn't necessarily protected. In terms of copyrights, that is. I think that'd be a fun short video, but it'd be rather short, though, because there's not a whole lot to talk about there. But it's an interesting, fascinating thing, because so many times you think parody, you use the word parody and satire almost interchangeably in everyday life. But in the legal semblance, they're actually very different things. And but parody is sort of protected because parody is a self-referential, where parody is making fun of the story, whereas satire is using the story to make fun of something else. So, like, porn parodies are a perfect example. Like, you can have porn parody because you're making fun of the Harry Balzac and the Harry Balzac and the goblet of well, let's not go too deep into this, but that's, you're making fun of the property. That's parody. And that is fair use. But if you had like Harry Potter show up in a porno that had nothing to do with Harry Potter, well, that's just using Harry Potter, and that's satire. That's not necessarily that's not fair use. I mean, it's an interesting distinction. Mel Brooks is parody, and Monty Python is satire. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that makes sense. Yep. Yeah, and the weird thing, Weird Al is mainly satire. Weird Al, all his music is not necessarily making fun of the music. It's making like Michael Jackson Fat. All those songs that he does, those are not parody songs. They're really technically satire. Parody would be making fun of the song itself, which he doesn't necessarily do. Most of his songs are making fun of something else. They're repurposing the lyrics to make fun of something else, which is okay because he also gets permission. So it's not like he's like infringing copyrights. He obtains permission, so that's fine. Anyhow, interesting idea, interesting thing. Anyhow, Nate Doller says he once played piano for Francis Ford Coppola. Pretty cool. Was it at a wine bar? That's gotta be the answer. All right. Let's see. Somebody texting me? I don't know. Is it me? Oh, I love this. So these days now, the scammers try to get you, right? So I got an email from Norman Norman Frederick this guy is a friend of mine who's like kind of old guy, and of course he's going to say this, right? Is this you in the video? Click on the link, and you click on the link. It's like, oh, you got to log in with your Facebook details. Guess that's not a scam. Somebody got scammed. Anyhow, that sucks. Oh, well. All right, well. Oh, there we go. I could show that one. Junberg says, Harry Balsack and the Goblet of Viagra fire. There you go. That works. What did I get at McDonald's this week? I feel like every time I talk about McDonald's, somebody on the chat's going to be like, well, I never had McDonald's in my life because I've had it once and it was disgusting. I'm like, okay, great for you, buddy. But basically what I do is my mom really likes the breakfast stuff. And the breakfast stuff, I'll be perfectly honest, it's basic ingredients. They just do a pretty good job of putting it together. Like an egg McMuffin is just an English muffin, a sausage patty, an egg that's been not necessarily fried, but well-cooked egg and cheese. I make my own at home. They're not as good because my ingredients aren't quite exactly the same as their ingredients, but I can make pretty close to the same thing. So anyhow, I do that enough, and I get a bunch of these McDonald's points. And I've got like 20,000 points at McDonald's, and like 6,000 points you get like a free Big Mac. So I got a Big Mac, and I got like some chicken McNuggets and a Diet Coke. And that's what I got. Cost me $4. So, ooh, there you go. And he played piano for Francis Ford Coppola in a hotel lobby. Nice. That's pretty. They give you $200 for it. Pretty cool. McDonald's coffee rocks. It does actually. It's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. That reminds me, I need to get some cream for my coffee. Sorry guys, I'm not a black coffee drinker. I need to have cream in my coffee. And McDonald's drinks hit differently. They do. And I had the Diet Coke here, and I remember getting it like, well, this tastes a little different than I've been drinking lately. So it's a filtered water thing. They do something special. Maybe they double the syrup, or I don't know what they do. They do something different. Cole 1982, good year to be born, says, I have a great concept for a movie. The Rock stars in a live adaptation of Mr. Peanut. It's an action film directed by Martin Scorsese. Tagline, it's about to get nuts. Love it. I think that's going to win all the awards. And in 2024, that movie will be a movie. That movie. The movie. We can all agree that is a movie concept. It's about to get nuts. And you just need to have the trailer have that that overly exciting. In a world, it's super wild. Now I'm going to the Christopher Walken territory there. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stars in a hilarious send-up of Mr. Peanut, directed by Martin Scorsese. Folks, it's about to get nuts. It's awful. Clay says he watched The Weird the other day. It was a good laugh. I think I can pull it up because I think I have Roku somewhere. I don't know. Burger King is better than McDonald's. In my neck of the woods, it's interesting how different places have different preferences for fast food. In my neck of the woods, Burger King is sad. I have one shopping center, which is Burger King, McDonald's, and then Carl's Jr. And Carl's Jr., for those on the East Coast, if you're watching, Carl's Jr. is sort of is our version of Hardee's, right? So the McDonald's does very well. The Burger King does pretty well. And the Carl's Jr. does pretty well. But the Burger King is just sad. No one goes there, at all. It's so sad and pathetic. Same thing with KFC. In my neck of the woods, KFC does not do well. There's a couple, Hardee's egg and cheese biscuits are good. Yeah, I do like Hardee's, and their breakfast burritos are pretty good too. But KFC never does well. In my neck of California, for some reason, KFC, no one wants to go there. It's there's a stigma about it. But then I go to the one up the street in Lake Elsinore. That one has a buffet. That's really pretty good. At least pre-COVID they did. I don't know what happens now. Lord Miller should direct that. What happened to Lord Miller? I wonder what they're working on. I always enjoy that stuff. Anyhow, we're talking about breakfast burgers and breakfast burritos and biscuits and stuff like that. That's wonderful. That's great. Oh, by the way, so my newest toy is I got a laser engraver, laser cutter. So I now own two 3D, two filament 3D printers, two resin printers. Actually, I own a third 3D printer, which I haven't put together yet. And I have a laser cutter / engraver, which I was able to engrave some stuff the other day. I was able to did a test cut with some birch wood, and I did engrave some leather. That sounds way more kinky than it really was. It's just leather coasters. I made these leather coasters with a design on them. I wasn't doing anything weird with leather. Sounds worse. I know. I get it. Eventually, you will be able to 3D print. Actually, they do 3D print. That's how the Prusa printers are actually largely made out of 3D printed materials. I bought some pieces from a company called Scotty Makes Stuff, and they make a couple like editions for like the Mavic drone, the Cine Sticks, but they also make this thing for the Ronin S3, S2 or S3, whatever. That's like it's kind of like the Steadicam arms, the flexi arms, and you can hold it like that, so you can walk around with it. And I was remarking that stuff is 3D printed as well. It kind of got me back into 3D printing again, because I was like, I haven't used it for a while. I was like, oh, this stuff is 3D printed. So I 3D printed a little stand for my hard drive when I'm recording my live streams. Not my live streams, when I recorded my Student of the Month programs. And then I reprinted a piece that goes into my van, like drink hold, or not my cell phone holder, because the cell phone is too big for it. So I needed a little thing where I could put it in and hold the big phone. Anyhow, just think, maybe 3D printing can get so good we have Kelly LeBrock come out of a 3D printer soon. I mean, there are certain Facebook groups where say the minors are not encouraged not to visit those 3D printing forums. Have you heard about the crystal glass they're using for data storage? It'll be like Superman. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, if you can etch something onto like glass, I'm sure you can just use it as a storage medium. Well, that'd be pretty cool. My phone going off. What is it doing? Now I got an email coming through. What the heck? All right. Well, it's about 3:35. I should probably get off and work on my lecture for tomorrow. Let's see. Anything else you want to hang out with for a little bit? Chat? Did you print that 3D idol? Yes, I did. I got two of them actually lying around. This belongs in a museum. No, I did 3D print. Basically, everything back there you see, except for the camera, is 3D printed. This is one of my early projects I did, was this Aladdin's lamp. Oh, never mind. Oh, this one too. Yeah, this little idol, which I was using as a corks. I designed it to be for corks, and I wanted to think about maybe trying to sell these, but I don't know what the market would be for something like this, and I don't know if like the legalities too. I mean, it is fan art, so it's you can't sell that many of them, but. Yeah, I should definitely do the video on United Artists. I think so. The problem is, like, those videos just take so long to do, and they get so comparatively so little play. I don't know. I'll be honest. Let me put this back real quick. I'll be honest, because I haven't been honest up until this point. I have not been honest. Like, I've been going through some of my comments. I mean, I read my comments every day. It's sort of my ritual is to look at the comments. But God, they're so awful sometimes. I'm just reading this crap. It's like I need to make some new videos so I get better comments. That's the problem. Because I'm addicted to reading comments. And it's not just my videos. I read comments on like a lot of stuff. I go through Twitter, I read comments. I shouldn't be reading comments on Twitter. It's awful. You should not be doing that. But here, I'll read you a couple comments. So this will be entertaining, just for us. Hangout, right? And YouTube Studio, and comments. All right, so Loading up. It's taking forever because I'm streaming. That's probably why. I'm sending data. Only data going one away. All right. I like the first comment I got on my Paramount Pictures video was, FFC, they are ripping you off. No idea what that means. Here's one on my 24 FPS, and this is the fourth comment down, day ago, edited. Filmmaker are incompetent. They are like the popular artists on Spotify. Only crap gets popular. Shitty ideas, shit cliches, and all in 24 FPS. That's on my video on Gemini Man. And he continues, I want 30 FPS. And then the next one, it says, film S then a crap video language. That's wonderful. I mean, I had a couple of decent comments that are like interesting points that people bring up. Someone was asking like how they did The Thing. That was kind of a good one. But it's like I get a couple of these, and there's one guy that really went off to me. His whole thing was that color grading is the reason why 24 FPS looks the way it is. And if you would just color grade high frame rate, it would look better. And I said, no, it's not color grading. Then you're like, well, you can disagree. It just goes off, and it's like, no, dude. Anyhow, he ended up, and I agree. I purposely like needle these people, but oh wait, my bad. You want a lot. I bet you feed your gluttonous Michelin man-sized ego. It's like you're insistent on painting this blank canvas with 12 different cans of the same vanilla color, and as attention-grabbing as Bob Ross's voice on mute, Bob Ross's voice on mute, and still trying to tell the world I'm an artist. It's like your Will Smith smacking Chris Rock doesn't look that way. I think it looks fucking dumb, making shit personal and starting your rebuttals with insults. Your greatness stops with your subscriber count. That's fucking sad. Anyhow, I mean, I admit I did needle him and saying like, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. But anyhow, I'm just getting so tired of these idiotic comments. Anyhow, I mean, yeah, just feeling tired, feeling sick of it. So maybe that's where I'm just getting like not disillusioned, but just like burned out, I think. I love it. And YouTube's like, creative burnout is a real important thing. So you guys, don't burn out. But you need to be publishing on a regular schedule, guys. If you don't publish on a regular schedule, your content, your numbers are gonna go way down, guys. It's like, whatever. Will I ever do a 3D printing channel? Probably not, because I don't know enough about 3D printing. And I hate, like, if you ever look up a review for a 3D printer, it's always some dude that gets the 3D printer for free. Like, they just want these companies just send you out cheap garbage. And that's why I hate all reviews on YouTube. They're all bullshit. Unless it's like, this is my review like a year later of using this thing. Then it's actually a decent review. But it's like, I just got this let you guys know, they sent me this printer to review and to let you know. Like, no, it's a bullshit review. Yeah. Cole says, the comedians will focus on people not laughing near their sets, and even when there are thousands of people having a good time, they'll just focus on that person not. Yeah, I know. I guess you're right. Feels like that. Yeah, I enjoy it because I love film history, because I like learning about film, because my philosophy is you'll never be a good filmmaker unless you understand film history. I think you have to also appreciate. You don't understand everything, but, appreciate it. And the problem is a lot of directors, they don't know film history. It's a problem with people. Like, I'm not that old, but like when you have, like, my friend had a girlfriend who had not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you're like, you have not seen Raiders. You're like 30 something, 33, 34. You have not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. Really? And I know you're not a filmmaker. Okay, I get it. But still, you have not seen Raiders of the Lost frickin' Ark? Yeah, Antony says, color grading has nothing to do with film looking like a video game. I know. And the argument I was trying to push back on him is like, dude, we know what high frame rate looks like. We've been looking at it for a long time. Oh, you don't. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're saying I'm not experienced. You're just making it personal. It's like, well, then you made it personal. Anyhow, yeah, there's always gonna be trolls. So, let it go. I like the way Wizard of Oz looks. It doesn't look like reality. I think horror movies would look pretty cool with that same look. Yeah, I bring this up a lot, but I did some work with. Well, I didn't work. I mean, I attended some classes that YouTube was putting out about VR shooting and how to shoot VR for back when YouTube was pushing VR really hard. The Google Cardboard and stuff like that, and they tried to do a VR Halloween thing, and it just became. And I watched everybody's submission for the VR Halloween contest or whatever it was, and the fact is, not a single movie produced for VR was scary. It was not even remotely scary. Not even chilling. Not. It was all so fake, and it felt like videotaping a fun house without any of the, I don't know, without any of the horror to it. It just felt terrible. It just felt awful. So that's why high frame rate's the worst thing for horror. Anyhow, for the Cine codec camera, I have a Ednite filter adapter for my camera lens. Any idea? Probably just filters like polarizers and stuff like that. I think that's what that is. I don't know. I don't know film cameras that much. So, last time I joined one of these streams, I mentioned I was editing a video on Jaws. Oh, did you finish it? I just finished it not too long. I'm feeling pretty bummed out though. I was hoping for the opposite. So, I just finished it not too long. I'm feeling pretty bummed out though. I was hoping for the opposite somehow. You're hoping to be still working on it? I hope not. I mean, well, I have the biggest problem that people just over criticize my work to the point where it's like, oh, this table doesn't belong in this shot, and I find it funny. Yeah. Part of that is like I have this one corporate client, which is they created this script, and let's be honest, I won't tell you anything about the details, but they created a script and they gave me a script and they wanted me to animate it, and I looked at it and was like, this is really not a good script because it's how when you're in high school and the teacher requires you to write a 5-page essay and you write paragraphs that absolutely have no meaning but they sound great because they've got a lot of syllables in them, and it's like the proper understanding of the maximum capacity requires a very technical and thrilling approach to the systematic elimination of side coupling vector scopes, and it's like this is fluff. That's the thing. Like a lot of clients too, and I get scripts from clients, and they're just so fluff. Like the secret to writing for video is to be direct, and another secret to writing for video is you need to use action, not an active voice and not passive voice. And by that I mean like Jimmy had just gone to the store. Well, I mean, that's not a good example. Jimmy went to the store is more of a passive voice, whereas Jimmy goes to the store. Or the store was went to by Jimmy. Stuff like that. It's passive voice. You want to be active and you want to have subject, verb. I'm not describing it well. There's technical words I'm missing here. But you want to have an active voice. You want to have like, Jimmy went to the store. Jimmy picked up a can of pickles and placed it on the table. And then Jimmy went to the counter to pay for it. But then he realized he left his wallet in the car. Stuff like that where it's direct. And so Jimmy sauntered into the store and upon contemplating the ritualistic approach to shopping in modern America, picked up it's like, come on. I mean, that's a little flowery. I'm doing this completely injustice. I'm running out. I'm getting tired. But anyhow. But yeah. All right. Did you hear that the company Technicolor changed their name because of something their founder said? No, I didn't hear about that. Really? I don't, it just goes to show you that, like, people get canceled on social media. Just wait 2 years. No one will remember what the hell happened. Eli Roth did a VR movie, I think. Maybe. But that problem is, like, even with Eli Roth running it, I just don't see it being... The reason why VR sucks is for horror is because of frame rate. That's my belief. Because you can't do 24 frames a second in VR. It looks bad. It's not, and it's headache inducing. You need high frame rate in order for VR to work. And when you put high frame rate into a horror, you lose all the effect of horror. It's not scary. It's just like, oh, it's a dude, and the physical act, if you were to go like the Not Scary Farm or something, the physical act of being scared is not there in VR. So you can get away with it in real life because it's got that little bit of a, little bit of scare to it. But in a VR situation, nah. Nino Check, you already had 10 plus years on YouTube, made lots of videos. What subjects do you still need more content that you can make? Hope you understand more. It's a good question. I have a wall full of ideas that I keep adding to, and I keep thinking I'm going to do. There's a lot still to talk about. The thing is, though, like, the comprehensive videos either need to be remade. I may just have to remake, like, the history of lenses again and make a new version of it or something like that. But just a new approach. But then again, it's also like, well, why would I take away what I've already made? Because they still kind of do still get play, especially in like more academic circles. So, I think again, but YouTube's also a different place. I think educational content on YouTube has changed significantly. Like I don't feel like you could do the kind of channel I created here now, because the algorithm and the style of YouTube seems to very, very much heavier favor clickbait style stuff. And that's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily. That's just the reality of the marketplace. If you never noticed, like all those like educational channels I used to watch, they all kind of like, they're all sponsored by the I forget what the documentary. There's a documentary series channel out there, like Wonderum or something like that. But they all have like they're all like sponsored by another place where you can actually go and watch documentaries, educational documentaries. Because nowadays it feels like YouTube, everything's just like clickbaity stuff. Not to say that clickbaity stuff is bad necessarily, but it's just the type of content on YouTube doesn't seem to facilitate sort of the kind of systematic learning, that stuff that I used to do. Maybe I'm completely wrong in that. I might be. Saying anything about YouTube being a monolithic anything is incorrect. Obviously, YouTube is a lot of things, but I just feel like the content where I can sit down and tell you the history of something just doesn't really work that well. Apologies for moping. I left one visual mistake in there, which bugs the hell out of my OCD. Yeah. I hope YouTube lets me replace the MP4 file when I'm relevant. No one allows you to. The best thing to do, if you don't have any viewers on, just delete it and fix it and upload a new one. That's the only reason you would want to keep it is just to keep the numbers and keep the comments. But if you feel like there's not that much comments and stuff worth keeping, just replace it. It's okay. We need to have that look in movies again, that Technicolor look. I think the cool thing about movies is they can take such a wide variety of looks. You can take a Technicolor look. You can go for a crazy black and white look. There's so much we can do. The thing with Technicolor, too, is remember, the Technicolor look wasn't just the film stock, although it is partly the film stock. It's also the set design. It's also the art department. Like, if you dress your characters in very bright colors, you're halfway there, the Technicolor look. The rest is just you can do some digital manipulation. History lenses 2.0? Yeah, maybe. I don't know how, but the thing is, I don't know how I would do it differently. I might do it more intense. I don't know. I don't know, but then it's like, well, what am I getting paid on YouTube? Hardly anything. So, used to make a lot more on YouTube, but it is what it is. Oh, there you go. I know I could just upload a different day, but that said on published date of being 7/12/2022, same day as my Halloween special. So on anyone else with sentimental about dates. My former partner here at Filmmaker IQ had a very bad habit of always putting big deadlines on holidays. And I'll tell you why. I mean, the reason, the rationale for doing that, especially website updates, was that holidays had had less traffic. So like Filmmaker IQ's website, the birthday is July 4th. But the problem with that is then there goes your holiday. Your holiday is sitting there and watching the freaking site and making sure it doesn't crash. So, yeah. I mean, back in the old days when I used to work with my partner, and then he passed away, but today, my age, I would look back and say that was not worth the effort. Like there was a lot of extra work for not a lot of gain. I don't know. Maybe I'm being very, 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 very down right now. I guess I'm getting tired. That's probably what it is. But YouTube is going the short, so it'd be more like TikTok. They just want the viewers to engage with the content. Yeah, and then YouTube's been sending emails like, you can get paid now for TikToks. Do I have a podcast? This is the podcast, essentially. And what I should do is actually take this live stream and cut out portions of it to hear me rant about, something or another, and just edit them out. But that would take a lot of effort. A Curiosity Stream was what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, sponsored by Curiosity Stream. Like all the educational content I used to watch, all those channels, they're all sponsored by Curiosity Stream, whatever that means, right? Because I feel like half of the stuff out there, like, is basically the sponsorships are basically, here's my code. For every code you get, I'll pay you $5. It's a lead generation kind of thing. They're not actually getting paid money, but they generate leads. I suppose if you're big enough, you can do both. You get paid a little small amount and then get the leads as well. But yeah. And Tony says no comments or likes even, just very specific about those upload dates. Well, you got to take the either own the mistake or fix it. One or the other. I'll be honest, like. There are stories of when YouTubers or any content gets big enough, it gets the attention to detail starts to get noticed. But like, no one's noticed what backgrounds I use on these streams. Like, you could probably go back and figure out which stream uses which background and like what my mood is that day or something like that. But no one notices. Sometimes I feel like the attention to detail is not necessarily there. Or I mean, there's importance to some kinds of attention to detail. You need to pay attention to details in certain aspects, but sometimes they get overshadowed by the magic of the thing. I was reading an article the other day, or actually either this morning or last night, about how they talked about Jaws, the opening of Jaws, and he was going through and listing all of the continuity errors in the very first scene of Jaws, where the girl runs down the beach and jumps in the water naked and gets eaten by the shark. Like just nonstop continuity errors. The very bottom he said, "Did anyone notice these? No, because it's masterfully done. You don't notice any of these continuity errors because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter." I feel filmmakers born in the '90s and 2000s want the film look over searching for a new unique look that are now possible in the digital age. We have more tools than the past generations. Kind of. I mean. Maybe. Like, I was born in the 80s. Do I want the film look? I mean, you got to define what the film look is, right? And what is it? Searching for a unique look? True, yeah. Like how many TikTok videos do you see with extreme unique look? I don't know. Yes, Scorsese films are full of continuity errors. I'll bet you if you go to Kubrick, some of the earlier Kubrick films are probably also riddled with them too. It's a tiny mistake that I'm sort of okay with, but it's a blur for 2 or 3 frames. Yes, focus being set on auto. Well, yeah. Well, you could be me and like literally have typos in your videos. or my video about the color system in NTSC color. Like for the longest time, all I was getting was people saying, like, dude, I said, the American manufacturing powerhouse turned from butter, turned from from making airplanes to making refrigerators or making tanks, and then I said from making tanks to making cars and making I didn't say radar, but I said it's like airplanes to making microwaves. And people were like, oh, John doesn't know what he's talking about. Microwaves weren't being made in 1946. Well, because I had this idea in my head that the origination of the microwave oven for cooking, comes from radar technology. Like this one guy was working at Raytheon, and he was messing around with his radar equipment, and he had like a chocolate bar in his pants. And then during his break, he reached in his pants and he pulled out like a melted chocolate bar out. I was like, oh man. But he realized that the radar dish like heated his food. It cooked up his candy bar. So we had a spammer here. So I assumed that people understood that story. So when I was saying that the American manufacturers went and started making microwaves, they did. The first microwave oven went on sale in 1946. It was extremely expensive, but it was there. But man, oh man, for years people just kept, microwaves weren't invented in Yeah, they were, but now had I thought today, those people should I have put that in the script? I probably would have changed it. I mean, or clarified the concept of microwaves, because I think it's an interesting, guns to butter discussion. Oh, my Google kicked me out. What the hell? Oh, is that what happened here? It just literally kicked me out of the stream. Am I still streaming? I think I am. But what's going on here? But anyhow, so the funny thing, so that video got posted on F-Stoppers, and on F-Stoppers the comment section, because somebody made a comment on my videos like, you're constantly zooming in and zooming out. It makes me sick or something like that. And I thought I was being kind of clever and joking with him. I was like, oh, well, I was meant to do that. And he got all pissy. He's like, I can't believe this YouTuber's getting hype. So now that's forever. If you Google that video, the War for Color Television, and you read the F-Stoppers article, you'll see the comments get pretty nasty about me. Which, whatever. I don't care. I'm getting tired. I feel like being gracious in YouTube comments is overrated. Sometimes if somebody comes at you in a YouTube comment, you're perfectly allowed to come right back at them. I think generally in person I'm a fairly nice guy, but I'm not on YouTube. Not on YouTube. Yeah. So, there we go. Let's log myself back in. I got logged out on my streaming page. That's weird. So I couldn't stop the stream if I wanted to. Oh, wouldn't that be an idea for a horror film? You can't stop the stream. You must keep streaming. Why is it? It's weird. Just got here. Are you on here for a while longer? I'll be here for a little bit, Rigel. I'm getting tired. I need to go do something else. There's another invention like that. The Post-it note was invented, and they failed to make an adhesive that would stick. That's a good point. I remember that story. Yeah. They got rid of the spammer. Yeah, I think they always keep coming on here. What's your favorite bad movie to watch and laugh at? Good question. I don't know. I'm currently signed out. Oh, please sign in your channel using Studio. I am signed in. It's weird. Is it because I opened another Studio page? Let's get rid of that one. That's bizarre. What's a bad movie? I don't know. Oh, you know what? I was going to do a review of this movie called Candy. I don't know if I would say it's a bad movie. See, the thing is, if I find it enjoyable, I don't consider it a bad movie. But I do laugh at that movie a lot because it's just insane. I was going to do a video about it, but I never got around to it because life is just kicking me in the balls and just doesn't let me do stuff. I think I'm in the Twilight Zone here. I can't log in. Wow. YouTube has got it so I can't stop the stream. That just means the stream has to keep going on. It just has to keep going. It's just to keep going, man. And Tony says, when I zoomed in on my Jaws cinema ticket, it was smooth. But when I did so for my ticket from Ready Player One, it was blurred for a few frames. Perhaps it was supposed to be like that. It's always supposed to be like that. Can you recommend the best printing technology or printer for printing action figures? Yeah, do a resin printer. And then the two I would recommend are Anycubic, Mono. You can, depending on how much money you want to spend and how big you want the plate, the Anycubic Monos are good. And then the Elgoo, Leelgoo, Mars or Jupiter or Saturn, one of those guys. Those are good ones. So between those two, pick out which style. They're both similar, but they're called resin printing, which is a liquid resin, and it has a little UV light, and that's how you build up your to create the action figures. And the reason why those are better is because the detail is so much better on those that you can get for small devices, small things like action figures, way better than the filament kind. So don't do that on filament. Filament's for large objects of some structural strength. If you want to do cosplay, then the filament printers are better. But for small stuff, the resin printers are better. All right. Can I freaking log back into YouTube here? Will you let me back in YouTube? Did I just say something that I got canceled for? Is that why I'm being kicked out? Why was I kicked out of YouTube here? That's so weird. And it still says I'm streaming, right? Yeah, you guys are talking to me. I got canceled maybe because I was talking about, what was I talking about that got me canceled? I don't know. I'm getting tired, but can't stop the stream. Yeah, that happens to me at night when I drink too much water. I have a good live stream set audio. It's all it is just a microphone going to the camera. Anyhow, let's see. YouTube, come on, let's get going here. What the heck? Now it won't let me enter my details. I want to change the email address. Jeez. John. There he goes. Okay, I want that email. Click on next. Yeah, I'm getting tired, guys. I've been chatting. It's hard to talk for an hour. Well, it's 2 hours now. I've been on here. Let's see. Live stream. Manage. There we go. December. There we go. There we're back in business now. Huzzah. Anyhow. All right. Well, I like these comments here. We are all made of stars. I didn't see that on here. I'm trying to fill the space here. All right. Find yourself a hot girl. Yep. That's what we see. Sequel for that Gate movie. Let's get rid of that comment. Okay. See, we'll hang out for a few more minutes here. Oh, they get kicked out from that too? Is that what happened? Oh, maybe that's what VMix Social kicked me out? I don't know. That's weird. All right. Well, let's bring it home here, guys. All right. Cole says, I bet Tested and Adam Savage's channel has some good suggestions for 3D printers for costumes. Yeah, I think so. I mean, Adam Savage, he's got money. There's a difference. If you want costume stuff, look, I have what's called a Creality Ender 5 Plus, which is one of the bigger printers out there. It's what's called a XY printer versus a Core XY printer. And the Core XY printer is basically a bed, and the printer moves X and Y axis like that. The other kind is called a bed slinger, which is the head can move left and right, and the bed actually slides back and forth. So that's the other kind of style. But I do recommend the Creality Ender 5 is a good option. Anycubic has a couple. Again, these are Chinese manufacturers. The truth of the matter is, if you want to get into 3D printing as a hobby, you're buying a Chinese product, because Americans don't make that stuff. No one makes that stuff. If you want to spend the money on a Prusa, which is a German manufacturer, Prusas are really highly regarded as far as a 3D printer, but they're not that huge. They're not that big, but they're also like 3 times the cost. But good stuff. Core does want us to print a 3D creepy gnome, so you can put it in front of random people's houses, which is a great idea. It's a perfect application of the technology. It's what the creators, inventors imagined that the use case of that situation is definitely very good. Rio says he's a Delta printer from acrylic. Cheap in purchase, but the print's good and does not lack quality. Yeah. Anycubic. Yeah, Anycubic's good. They have a pretty decent return policy and support policy. So if you have issues, they will help you out. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm tired. I need to go do something else, and I'll go work on my lecture. That'll be fun. All right, guys. Well, until next week, I'll probably come back with you next week. Next week's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be busy. All right, man. Well, take care. We will see you next week at Filmmaker IQ. Go out there, make something great, make something awesome. Rigel caught me for a change. Good for. We'll see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.